Just a couple upfront tips here. First of all, I'm going to record this. However, this is not going to be posted anytime soon. All right, I'm going to tell you that right now. And the reason is I don't want everybody to just have to go on YouTube every time to watch it. The point is you got to join us live. So this will be posted, and I'm recording this. So yes, when you see this someday, you YouTube people, you'll remember this because you'll never know when I'm going to post this. It will not be today, won't be tomorrow, may not be next week. It may be next month. Who knows? But for those of you who are joining us today, you're going to have the opportunity of seeing a great class by Joe. He's got some great materials. We're gonna focus on a couple models, but we're gonna try to also. I think he's going to refer to the other models as well. He's got some handouts, materials in the email. There was a little class materials button that if you click on it, you can print out some of those. The most important handout, believe it or not, is a blank piece of paper and take notes.
Yes.
To what he's saying, because not everything is going to be referred to on those handouts. That's my suggestion.
You have it very much.
I'm going to keep an eye on the hands, the people joining in and what have you. And since I am recording this show, I'm going to change your name from Joni to Joe, if that's okay.
Oh, it's better like it. Let's keep it as Joni.
Joe.
All right, I'll lower my voice a little.
Joe F. There we go. All right, Joe, it's all yours.
All right. Okay, welcome everybody again. Thank you for joining the concert earlier, and we've already had. I had only one comment so far, so that's okay. But hopefully we'll get some more. But anyways, this is on what we call the smaller models. So you understand when I say smaller models, you got a list of them. The biggest thing I'm going to do is kind of give you terminologies that you can understand. Because one of the problems I heard is, oh, I went to a workshop, but it doesn't pertain to my instrument. So, but anyways, I'm going to start off with just a number, just to kick it off, just to give us some flavor here. So. All right, I gave you a kind of a sample of a couple of different styles, and believe it or not, I used one setting, and then I moved it through different what we call performers, and I'll explain that in a minute. The biggest problem so far that I have found with everybody is that they don't understand what is really on their instrument. So I'm going to start from the single keyboard and move on up. Now, I want you to take some notes on this. Okay, when I say notes, that just means when I mention a word, I want you to write that word down. If you don't understand it when I'm finished, get with your PA and explain it, okay? So the first thing you got to understand is that everything on the left is the same on every Lowry organ. These are called music styles or orchestra plus. This is your orchestras. I don't care whether you have the single keyboard, the double keyboard, or the largest. To the left, what happens is the bigger the instrument, the more varieties of orchestras you have, okay? Now, there are different words that we have. So remember, some will say music styles, some will say rhythm or orchestra plus, or they will say rhythm with orchestra. It all is the same. It's a band you're hiring. And that band is the type of music that you're going to play. Now, depending, for those that have the single keyboard, when we have the single keyboard, that's down here. I'm on an easy 4 right now, but the lower keyboard is actually the same as what would be on an easy 1 or 2 or 3. What I mean by that is that you have your chord system and you have your melody over here. Now, if you've had, and again, don't get mad at me for saying this, if you've had your single keyboard for a year, 2 years, or longer, you're hurting yourself because you are now just becoming a player to learn notes and play. And music takes forever to know. Now, the reason people jump to a double keyboard is the hands get closer and there's more things happening. So if you've had that single keyboard, it's okay if financially you can't do anything or size-wise, but I'm telling you, if you're gonna improve, you want to improve with the instrument. And that's why I always recommend a double keyboard. A good single keyboard is great to start, but please, you know, look to your PA to understand why you should be having to play on a double keyboard. And I'm talking very much to people to understand that you're limiting yourself. Now, the next thing is in your orchestras. Now, your orchestras, depending on how you want to improve, and that's when we could, if you have this sheet, Robert, this one, if you can put it up for them just as a sample, okay? Now, if you notice on that sheet.
Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Now, I'm going to show it, and then you tell me if this is the right one. Right here.
Yep, you got it.
Whew.
Okay. Now, let's explain what's going on here. For those that have the what's the other models? The SU models, the SE models, yeah, and those. You'll see that it says Genie, and then it might say Orchestra Plus next to it. Okay. Now everybody says, well, I don't understand. What's this over here on the where it says Performer? You have that. You have that. When the Genie and Orchestra Plus is on, it is becoming the full band. That's okay. If you just put on the Genie and take off, that's when you will get the piano or the guitar. It's the same. It's just the background. Okay, and I will give you an example of that real quick here so you see that, okay? Hope you hear that. That's the band, okay? So now I'm gonna take off your Orchestra Plus and just have the Genie on. And it's a strumming effect. That's what the Genie is. So basically you have the same thing going on in those other instruments. It's just the terminology, okay? I got that so far? Now these, depending on the size of your instrument, is how many different orchestras that you will have, and that's your music styles. And I'd always tell this story. This is kind of cool. When I first got married, well, we won't get into all of them. I just want to talk about my marriage, my first marriage. She was 3/4 Italian. I'm 100% Italian. I don't know what the other quarter was. But anyways, we had an Italian family, wanted an Italian band. And then my brother played in a jazz band, a rock band, you know, jazz, all kind of electric guitars. I had what was called a wedding band, where, you know, the typical I love you truly and all of that. Well, my Italian family wanted Italian music. My band could play it, but we didn't have the squeaky clarinet, the accordion, all that instruments that sound Italian. And then my brother's friends wanted the rock band. Well, we did not have the electric banging guitars and the fuzz bustlers and all that stuff. So, and then of course, many of the families said, well, we want some traditional music. So what I did is I hired each for 20 minutes on the hour. We had 20 minutes of Italian music with the Italian sound. We had 20 minutes of the rock band, and I had 20 minutes of the regular music. So we made sure, because we could not cover. I have a gentleman right now over on the other coast. He wants tango. He loves tango. He has a Latin beat only. How come I can't get an Italian, get the tango? Well, because he doesn't have that orchestra. When you match your style of music to your orchestra, it's not how you play better, it's how you sound better. So that's what our orchestra is. So we have these choices of many of those different types. So as you get a larger one, your playing will sound better because you're matching the style of music to the style and orchestra that belongs with that music. So remember that, okay? So if you've got some of the older models that will say Genie and Orchestra Plus, it's actually the full band. Now over in the Estey, this is pretty cool.
Joe, real quick, I took a picture of something real quickly with my phone.
Okay.
So everybody could see what you're referring to. Can you see that, Joe? I don't know if you can see.
Oh, good. Look at that.
So some of the organs on what he's referred to as the LC and the SE series has this Genie and Orchestra Plus. And if I'm not mistaken, what you said was if you turn off this Orchestra Plus button here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So let me do this. Watch my fancy. Ooh, circle that. So that button there, if you have a model that has a Genie and Orchestra Plus, or some models have just the Orchestra Plus.
Mm-hmm.
You turn it off, it almost makes it work like a pianist or guitarist.
Right.
Okay.
That's correct. The strumming
I
effect.
wanted you to see what he was referring to there, folks. I'll come back to that as needed, but I'm gonna stop the screen share so it goes back to you.
Okay, that's a very good. I'm glad I didn't have that that presentation there. That was very good, Robert, that we did that. So you understand, I don't want to have people say, well, I went to that workshop and I don't have that. Well, you do have it. It's just a matter of knowing which words or which ones follows within your instrument, okay? Now, over in the Freedom instrument, those have, don't have the performer, but it has 4 different rhythms that are attached to each of your orchestras you have. So there are 4 of them that are in that. So not 3. So you do gain one extra one in there, and that's in the Freedom. Get with your PA to understand that, okay? That is very, very important to understand. So again, I don't want people to say, well, I don't have that performer. You do, because you have 4 different orchestras for each of the buttons that you push for being your orchestra. So that's the basic understanding of that. Now that's about as much as I want to cover on that part of your instrument. So number 1 is, remember the words, you have music style or you have rhythm plus orchestra. Those are the basic ones that are different. Then each one of them have different type of instruments that are in it. Some will have the full band, some will have the Genie and Orchestra Plus, and then you have a way of altering those by putting them down to simple as piano or guitar, which means it simplifies that arrangement, okay? That's the basic understanding. Depending on how many different musical styles you have will give you a chance to play many types of music. So if you're limited to 8, you only have you have 8 times 3, that's 24. So the more rhythms you have, the more you can fit the style of music. Your playing will be the same. You don't have to go and dazzle with them, learn all these extra notes. Let the instrument be your teacher, okay? All right. All right.
Dee Dee, you have a question?
Yeah, I have the conductor, and my conductor has a button that says basic.
Yes.
Is that the same as the Genie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Very good.
And I believe the conductor also has an Orchestra Plus button on it.
Right.
Yes,
So you got both.
Yes.
Got it?
You can
Thank
use
you.
both to the similar effect of what he's saying.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
Dee Dee, if you have another question, you have to keep them easy like this.
Okay. Yes. So I just want people to understand that when we can't, there's, I don't know, 50 different models, folks. And you know, that's impossible for us to cover other ones. So if you understand the word that pertains to what we're using, saying, oh yeah, he's talking about music styles. Oh, those are the orchestras. You understand, it'll match, or vice versa. So don't say, oh, I don't have that. We all have orchestras. We all have arrangements. And then we all have an easy play button. That's basically what I wanted to make sure everybody covers for every instrument. Okay, is that pretty clear to everybody? So again, make sure you learn the terminology, because there's only like 3 or 4 words for everything we use. Okay, now the next thing I want to cover, and Robert, is basically the screen, which we call the LCD display. And this is something that I have found since it first was introduced. If you can come up with one that has the display right there, that most players don't use it, because either they don't look at it because they're watching the music, they're watching their hands, and they're watching the left-hand chord, looking and they never look at this. This is me being with you, Joni Monero being with you. Every one of our PAs are with you, because this is your guide to how you play. Okay, so in the window, and I call it a window, the simplest one is tempo and chords. That's the smallest instrument, like the easy 1 and easy 2, because basically it doesn't have a lot of other things happening. But when you do touch introduction, the introduction will count it out for you and say intro is playing. You should look at that, because it tells you when to get started to play. It will count 1, 2, ready, play, and then you start. Now, if you have what we call extra notes before that, that's when you want to get with your PA to make sure you understand when to come in. Now, here's a trick. Okay, the trick is, if you have a song like that, here's a waltz, and I always have trouble with this waltz. It's called Fascination, and it's because it has many pickup notes, or notes before the introduction is done. Oh, I can't fit it in there, it's too hard. So what I do is, when I have the introduction, I'll do a different one here. When it's done, I hit the stop button, okay? And I'll hit stop. Here's another introduction in waltz. Because I have these extra notes, so I'm gonna stop it. Because now I can take my time with those extra notes called pickup notes. And see, it comes in together. So if you have a song that has a lot of extra notes at the beginning, just hit the stop button after the intro. And then when you get to the start of the song, there it is, intro playing. Beautiful.
A quick picture of the organ.
Oh,
See, I know stuff too.
you are unbelievable.
While you were talking, I walked over this is a picture of the Freedom 3, and I push intro real quick, and I hit a chord, and I took a real quick picture of that's what it looks like. So folks, in case you're wondering what he's saying and you can't see what he's seeing, right there.
All right, use that window. Please look at it, because it's your teacher. There's 2 things beside that, besides the intro. You have something called tempo, okay? And the tempo is showing there. So if you find a song is okay, if that's too fast, I'm going to slow up that tempo. And when I'm going to slow up that tempo, I'm usually going to slow it up in increments of 5. So let's say it was at 120 and it's way too fast. I'm going to drop it down to 100 and practice. And then when I want to practice a little faster, I want to increase it by 5. So I hit the tempo button and move it up 5 points. And then again, I might practice it a little more and move it up 5 points again. And mark it in your book. If you have a memory like mine, I would forget. In fact, I forget the book. You know, that's me now. So mark it in your book, increments of 5. And I always tell the story that I played Flight of the Bumblebee, which I did in concert. And when I started playing it, I played it that fast. And then I went up a little faster. Took me 6 months to get it up to this. 6 months. It just didn't happen overnight to be able to get it to the speed. So in practicing, that tempo, again, is having your teacher there. Drop it down, write it in your book, okay? Now, the next thing that this window gives you, the display, is the chord. And here's where the problem comes in many, many people playing. I'm going to switch to the next chord, and I'm not going to clear correctly the chord. Well, the computer, I stop it right now. The computer heard you play the C chord, and it heard me play the F chord. It doesn't know, because you locked the two together. The computer says, okay, dummy, I'm going to give you both chords, because it doesn't know. So if you look in the window, it says C suspended. That's my suspenders. No, it's the suspenders. It's a suspended, shut up. So it's giving me two chords because it didn't know which one you want. So make sure when you're playing chords that you release the previous chord before playing the next one. So, and the window will tell you if you made a mistake. Oops, can you hear that sound? You hear it? We got somebody here. You hear? Because what did I do? I held the first chord too long and the second chord was played. Now the computer is guessing. So what does it do? It gives you both, you see? So if you ever have a sound that doesn't sound right, this window is very, very important. Now for ones that get a little bit larger that have the transposer, it will also show you that. Got that? Okay. It'll show you the key. And if you go into what we call features, you can scroll, and some of you, to where it says transpose. We won't get too much into it, but you can transpose up or you can transpose the song down. And when you do that, you're actually playing the music the same. There it is. Perfect. You see over there to the right, it says key C. Okay, so if I wanted to play it at lower, especially incidentally, here's a little trick again, Christmas music. All the Christmas music is way too high. So transpose it down 2 or 3 steps. You can sing it better, okay? So in fact, let me do one right now. I'm just gonna do one. Listen to this. This is kind of cute. Here's Silent Night. So now I'm going to come over here to features and I am going to transpose it down. So it sounds a little bit nicer. Much more easier to hear. Excuse me. So when you get to Christmas music, transpose it down, especially a lot of them. If you're going to be singing them, you're going to find out you're going to enjoy them more, okay? So that's that part. Any questions up to this? I know I have to have some questions.
Any questions from anybody? Let's see if we have any hands raised. No? Well, you're a good teacher. And the people that have the video screens look musically smarter already.
Okay. So okay, good. Let me just quick review. What I'm talking about, first of all, is that everything to the left is the same on all the Lowry organs. That's your orchestras. It also gives you how to play and the types of orchestras. The larger the instrument, the more varieties of orchestras you have to play with. And they have different names, music styles, orchestras, rhythm orchestras, but it's always the same. So, and why we have more orchestras? Because we want to fit the style of music. If I were going to play Italian music, I would love to have the Italian type of orchestra. If I'm going to play a Latin band, I want to have the type of orchestra that fits a Latin band. If I have a beautiful Mantovani strings and I want to play waltz, I want to have that type of orchestra. And especially if I play country music, I want the guitars. I don't want the Mantovani strings playing, Release Me. I mean, come on. I mean, then I heard people play it. Well, that's all I have is the strings. Well, okay, come and see me. We'll make sure you get the guitar. I mean, right? So that's kind of the fun part of it. You're playing the same. The orchestra and the instrument is enhancing your playing by having more of those. And as you improve and play more and more, you're going to find out that you're going to like some of those. I mean, I opened with a Broadway because it had the Broadway sound. If I didn't have that, I'd be playing it like a polka, because a polka would be in there. That's not Broadway. You see my point? Because that's all that I have. I want to play a Broadway song, and that's polka, and that's a march. And see, it doesn't fit. Doesn't fit. And you say, how come it sounded better when you played it? Well, I put the right orchestra with the style of music. And then we've divided up into simple part where we have the full band, we have a strumming effect called piano or guitar, and then we have the easy play, and then we have the tempo. Remember I mentioned tempo. And remember that if you're going to adjust it down. If you have the chord system in the middle, you want to make sure you look at that. If it doesn't sound right, it could be you played the wrong chord, which is in the music. And then the window also gives you an introduction. I also didn't tell you, but if you push the same button, intro, it also will end the song for you. So you have that. Intro playing. What? There we go. It shows you that you're playing, okay? That was what I've covered so far, okay? Any questions? You all right? So this is what it's all about, okay? Yes.
I do. On that, back to that transpose, Joe.
Yeah.
What did you transpose it from, and what did you transpose it to? I didn't
Well,
catch.
that depends on actually you. In most cases, I transpose it down 2 steps, which means I hit it twice most of the time. And maybe it's like, for example, the Star Spangled Banner is written in the key of C for us, but it's really sung in the key of A flat. So you would go down 1, 2, 3, 4 steps by hitting the transposer if you were going to sing the Star Spangled Banner. Much easier to sing. You follow me? So, but it depends on, I always have to say, your ear, if it sounds too high or too low. And if you have a great voice and you can sing up there, don't do it. Got it?
Okay. Thank you.
But usually in transposing, you transpose down before you start the song. Now, in my concert, I was playing to embellish, to make it more exciting near the end, I transposed it up. And I do it just by maybe 1 step. And that's how you make a Frank Sinatra and Michael Bublé are masters of it. I didn't do it, but I have a Michael Bublé arrangement, and he starts in E flat, and right in the middle of the song, he goes to E, and he sings it, and you could tell that it gives an excitement for the finish. So that's another way of making the same music you play sound better. So there's 2 things you can do with the transposer. Make it sound better when you want to sing it. It's more easy to listen to, or for excitement during the song is transpose it up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And I love that. That really, you play this music exactly the same. You don't have to change registrations, and it comes out sounding much better.
I have to tell you, Joe, that's one of my key ingredients in almost all the performances that I play at.
Mm-hmm.
Is just what he just said. Is I'll start down, sometimes A at the lowest, and then just as I'm playing, like when the Saints, the easy plays, just easily repeats the same.
Right.
I'll play it through, do a little what we call a solo, and then I'll say, okay, what do I do next? Transpose up half step. And then play it through, transpose half step. In fact, you may see that very common in a lot of us that are perform, and it does exactly what he just says. It's sometimes the easiest thing you can do to enhance your song without having to do anything different than changing a button.
That's correct. Right. The transposer sounds like you changed everything, and you didn't. You just brought it up to a higher level. And like I said, incidentally, a story about Frank Sinatra. when he sang with the big bands did not transpose. It was Glenn Miller and all of them, because their harmony was perfect for their orchestra. Transposing it kind of changed the harmony. So when he sang with the bands, they all stayed in the same key. When he went on his own and went with Billy Rose, Billy Rose made sure that he sang it and did a transposing up, so his arrangements were totally different than when he sang with the bands earlier. Quite an interesting story, how he made that happen. The best one is New York, New York. If you want to really, right in the middle, he does an unbelievable transposing higher to make that more exciting. Okay? Just some tidbits there, okay? All right, the last thing, how much time we have, the last thing I want to talk about is what we call the expression pedal, or what we call the loud and soft pedal. Now, in the Easy One, you do not have that. So your playing is pretty well what we call monotonish. No matter how you do it, the sound will all be the same. And that's okay because it's a small instrument. It has portability. But then when we get to the 2 and on up, we have an expression pedal. Now this in itself is really very, very important in playing music, and you should practice this. And I'm going to give you a little exercise, and it's not jumping up and down. So it's just, okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on an organ sound or any sound that I feel. And I'm going to practice like I'm driving, and I'm driving slow and going faster. And then I'm going to bring it back up. Practice this. Hit another note, a bunch of notes. Can you hear it? So now think about this. I'm going to finish a song, and I'm going to play Silent Night. You see how nice that sounded as I finished it? I used the expression pedal. I brought it all the way down. I just held the chord. In fact, we have a song that's the first one we teach you is Ode to Joy. So let me put that on here. Watch this. This is cool. Doesn't matter the instrument. Huh? Pretty cool how it sounded when I put the expression pedal all the way down and all the way up. So when you finish a song, if you don't have rhythm on, the expression pedal is dynamic. It's making love to the notes. I'm Italian, so you got to make love to the notes. What are you going to do? So anyways, that's how you do it with the expression pedal. And now there's another trick, and this one, for those that have some of the larger ones, if you put on the instrument and you really put on a big sound, when you hit it and you do it quickly. I accented, put it all the way down and back up right away. So that's another one you can practice. As soon as you hit the note, hit it as loud as you can and bring it right back up. Pretty cool. To give you, again, that's expression with the pedal. All the way down, back up quickly, and then bring it up loud again. So that's just the opposite of the other one. So the expression pedal has a lot to do in how you play. And because the organ, remember, when we play the organ, we can hit it as hard as we want, and then we hit it soft, comes out the same volume. There's no expression with those notes. See, there's nothing. So if I use my expression pedal, much nicer, isn't that, than just hearing that monotonish sound. So your expression pedal is something, you want to work on that. It's not that hard, but you want to, when you see you have a note you're holding, in some of the smaller ones especially the easy 2 and easy 3, 4, and when you hit a note that's holding, give the volume pedal a little push and then slightly up again, and you'll see how much nicer your song is going to sound. Okay, a great thing there. Last thing about the expression pedal, then I'll take some quick questions. You have some levers, and Robert, I think you got some pictures of that, if you're still there.
I am.
Okay, that's where you have one lever on the left and you have one on the right. So I don't care which one. Let's get started with the expression pedal. If you got that up there, why don't you put that for the folks?
You see that?
Yep.
Is that it? Is that
Yep.
what you're for?
Okay, well, this is the first start from using the expression pedal after we have this button called fill in. Because when you play, if you move it to, if you've got the one on the right, that will do your fill in. And I know it's difficult sometimes as a beginner, but if I move and slide my foot to the right, you'll see the fill in button light up. Okay, and when it goes to the left, that's a sustaining one, or it could be for Hawaiian music, give you the ooh-wah sound, which is the glide where it lowers the note and raises the note. So again, those are just extra things that happens with the expression pedal. The one to the right will do the fill-in. The one to the left does sustain or does a glide, lowering the note and raising it up. Both of those get with your PA to get some exercises with that. So that's the last thing I want to talk about. So again, review. First of all is understand that there's the type of orchestras you have, how it's broken into different parts, full strumming effect. Then we get into the window, what it is as your teacher. And then finally, we've got, of course, the transposer, and then finally using the expression pedal, which is, to me, the best of anything is the expression pedal, because we can make a song sound beautiful. Okay, Robert?
Okay. Wow. I learned some cool things actually today with the expression pedal. It wasn't so much that I learned something new, because I do all of that, but I never really taught a topic on the expression pedal like that. So what I got out of it was, now I know what to teach 6 months from now, and hopefully everybody will have forgotten this, and then I can teach. Look at what I just taught you, and then I'll steal Joe's idea. That's a great class. I hope you guys enjoy. Before I give just a couple small announcements, does anybody have any questions for Joe? He covered some really cool topics today. Anything whatsoever? The bad question is the one that we don't ask, if you're thinking of one, that is. Linda, you have any other questions? No? You're good? Fred?
No, that was okay.
Okay.
You went over what I needed.
All right.
Good.
No, I could see Fred in the background. He's got that look like, I could teach this class. Right, Fred? All right. Well, great class. We hope you enjoyed. Now, what I'm going to remind you of is in a moment.
Robert, can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay, one last thing. Tomorrow, there will be the reason I covered my areas. Tomorrow, there will be a small organ class also, correct, Robert?
Yes.
Okay, there will be other features that they'll be talking about than what I showed. I gave you kind of the basics of all of it, so they'll get into more of the intricacies of some of the things of arrangements and so forth. So do come to it. It's not going to be a repeat like we do Wednesday's class and Thursday's class for virtual. This will be totally different tomorrow. That's all I want to say.
So tomorrow, you'll get a similar email. It'll look the same. It'll have different times on it. But I think Sean, if I'm not mistaken, is teaching that. But he's got some really cool stuff he's going to teach, and he knows what Joe is going to teach. So he's going to kind of continue and onto another topic and tie it in at the same time. So
Good.
I strongly encourage you to make it. This is the email that went out today, and that same email that you joined at the bottom here in T-minus 15 minutes. You just want to click on, the link is on the website, or you can click here through Zoom. So Joe's got one very unique concert finale that he's going to do that we typically don't hear. We haven't heard, I'm going to say I haven't heard a finale like this, or the styling that you're going to do in years.
Mm-hmm.
I would say back in the 90s, I used to hear it a lot, and it seemed like over the years, everybody changed it up. So I can't wait to hear your finale. I heard him rehearsing it this morning. I get to see him rehearse, and so he's hopefully by now he'll have all those bad notes worked out, right, Joe?
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm going to use the fake it button in this one too.
So before we get off, let's give Joe Fontesha a big round of applause.
Thank
Everybody.
you. Enjoyed it.
So,
A little crazy hair. Woo!
Good job, Joe.
Expression pedal, expression pedal. All
All right, kids. We'll see you later.
right, we'll see you real soon.